I guess I never looked at it.
Yeah, no, you
I
didn't.
saw a shot of the interior. It's like pretty nice for a Jeep.
Well, it's like 80 grand.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Yeah.
It's like a new whiz-bang model or something?
Yeah.
Today, we need to talk about why the hell we don't have any monoblock amps for headphones.
Yeah, you see it with speakers all the time. Two separate chassis for two separate speakers. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's probably
cool,
a reason,
too.
though, why you don't see it in headphones.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's a few reasons,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Space.
Well, space is
The
one.
final frontier.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, you need two separate chassis for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more expensive.
It's definitely more expensive. Chassis are expensive
Yeah.
Yeah.
in amplifiers, contrary to popular belief.
Well, it's a very different thing. In a headphone amplifier, you're looking for a few watts if it's very high power, and you could fit that in a pretty small chassis for the most part. You don't need to quite worry so much about the physical size. In speaker amplifiers, a lot of times in the high end, you're looking for hundreds of watts, maybe even 1,000 watts or more, and you're not fitting that in a small chassis. So two chassis makes it almost practical, makes it a little bit more reasonable to fit it in an okay size chassis that isn't gigantic. It separates your power requirements from one channel to the other. It gives your amplifiers closer to the speaker. It looks better. It looks more expensive. These things kind of don't matter.
Infinite
Headphones.
left-right separation.
Well,
Very good channel separation.
Oh,
Yeah, no
technically
crosstalk.
speaking, though, from a purely engineering standpoint, well, I don't know if you call it engineering, the ground lead on each of the amps may cross over between channels. Just a little
May.
tidbit. Yeah, may. Information may travel through the ground leads into the home's ground and mix.
Yeah, and the source, the input,
It's rare.
or the earth ground.
Earth ground, yes. Earth ground. Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's a
I
long
suppose.
story.
All right.
I guess it's theoretical.
you also separate the heat. You know,
Yeah.
not putting all the heat into
One box.
one box. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Which-
a cool though. Like in speakers, I've always loved monoblock amps. To me, I got them at home. I've had monos for years. And the reason, for whatever reason, it seems like when you set up mono speaker amps, there's more of a sense of space out of it.
Could be mental though.
It could be, but relative to a stereo amp, it seems, when there's two separate amps, I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden the sound sounds more separate. It's okay.
It is
cool.
kind of.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. And there's something going on there, which, we need to have the time or the need to figure out. But I've always preferred monos, and it's definitely a cool factor.
I think that's a big portion of it.
Woo's
for
got
speakers.
the monos. I think it's the only one I know of. The 234s.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else offhand. There might be.
It is 234.
Yeah,
right?
the visual impact
think
of
so.
two separate chassis on headphone amplification doesn't seem to be as big of a feature as it is for speakers. For speakers, it's a big thing. You throw it on the floor. It kind of looks cooler to have two of them. It doesn't really cost anymore. They're big either way, right? So
Yeah.
for headphones, it's a bit less practical. The advantages aren't quite there.
Well, I guess the other thing is then you pretty much need a preamp,
Or two separate volume knobs.
which is a problem too.
And then your headphone cable needs to split out to do different devices. So the usability there, it's not great.
Yeah, some people had a problem with that when we had it at
Yeah.
trade shows.
They're counting
like,
clicks.
how do I know how to
Right,
balance left, right? It's
Well,
like,
that's
just
what-
listen to it.
Yeah. Well,
That doesn't
and
work for
They're stepped
everybody.
attenuators, so that helps out too.
Yeah, a little bit. Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's still difficult, though, because there wasn't clean.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was very difficult to tell where the
It's
knobs were.
difficult. They need to be synchronized from left
Yeah.
to right. You turn one, the other one follows.
Yeah, no, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
I know a lot of people had different ways of going about it. Some people go one at a time, count the clicks, and then do it.
Yeah.
And other people will just do both of them.
Yeah.
So everybody,
You get
approach
used to
differently.
You
Yeah.
sit there long enough, you're like, yeah, you can just balance out the vocals so it's centered.
But you can run a preamp with them.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would just make it. But then it's really big. Then you got two
That's
huge
a
monoblocks
big headphone
and
setup.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
we took up a 6-foot table with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
not the whole table, but damn, you're talking 3
Well, if
foot.
you talk to source too and everything,
Yeah.
computer source, whatever.
Yeah, the deck in between the 2 amps. It's about 3 foot.
You need a
It's a good
full-size
meter on
hi-fi
a
rack.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the biggest reason you don't see these things, Now, there are amp topologies that mimic a dual mono design internally, where they run 2 separate channels of amplification. They're laid out identically, but they're obviously separated
Right.
on the PC board. Like the Formula S, it's got amp modules, 1 per channel. So they're sharing the same power supply. I think he's running separate rectifiers for each one. I think it's only sharing the transformer. I'm not sure now. I think there's at least separate regulation going on for each channel. So there is isolation between the channels, even in the DC path.
Well, that's a fair point.
Which is pretty cool.
Because if you look at balanced amplifiers, especially high-end balanced headphone amplifiers, they're basically two separate units in a box anyways. Sometimes the components are mounted physically on the same circuit board, but usually they're isolated well enough that you're really in the weeds if you're hearing crosstalk or some sort of channel migration from one side to the other. Two chassis in a headphone, it just doesn't provide practical benefits. It's just more complicated.
Although I dare to say, though, that it would be probably a headphone would be more sensitive to crosstalk than a pair of speakers in a room.
Yeah.
I would think it would be.
Well, there is no natural crosstalk like a room would have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely.
Whether that be a positive or a negative, I don't know. But like I said, it sounds to me in speakers with monoblocks, it does sound cool. And I've never compared the same amp stereo configuration because that's hard to find compared to the mono setup.
Especially
so
in headphones. I guess you'd have to use full-size amps to do it.
But I mean, just in all the hundreds of systems that we've set up over the years with shows, trade shows, I don't know, there's something about mono amps, you know?
Well, it does look impressive.
That and analog tape. Reel to reel, baby. You know, that's the way to go first.
It's a looks thing, yeah.
Yeah, but that does sound good.
It does sound good, too. Yeah.
So, you know, the other thing, too, with like mono amps is they each have their own separate power cord, which is kind of cool, too. Part because we make power cords. But, you know, you could actually, like, if you really wanted to go nuts, you could have your own outlet for each one too, with a dedicated line going right to the mains panel.
Yeah, I can two mains connections while you're at it.
Two home runs, yeah.
Damn straight. 2 pole pigs, one for each hand.
Okay, that's getting
now you're talking. That's pretty good separation.
There's a couple people I've dealt with in the past that pretty much have that set up at home.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the room, right? So why not, right?
I guess.
If you're building it.
I've dealt with people that have the 5 kVA Equitex, like the balanced wall panel, 400-pound toroidals that mount, you know, go in a NEMA box on somewhere near your big breaker panel.
It's like a power conditioner for your whole home or your whole system.
Yeah, or studios use it. They balance the whole damn studio to just avoid any kind of ground loop problems. But yeah, I've seen people in their homes do it, and we're talking, it's $50,000 a transformer to get that thing put in.
Yeah,
you know,
just, and you need like a forklift too.
Yeah, and if you got a basement, you better put it in before you build the house. Because it's a bitch. It's big. These things are like 5-6 foot high panels.
Yeah.
They're big and heavy. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you could go, I've seen people go gung-ho with their systems, and I'll bet any money they got mono amps. You know?
Probably.
Well, for speakers, mono is pretty common, but there's somewhat practical reasons for it. It provides the end user with kind of perceived better value because it seems you're getting more. With headphones, I don't think people want that. I think people really value the convenience more than the potential fractional tiny % difference where you might have channels talking to each other. You might get some interference from the left to the right and the right to the left. But with a good design, that's pretty much non-existent. Yeah. Almost immeasurable.
Yeah, I think what's practical is to have a dual mono type design within one chassis. Keep the space reasonable.
Compact.
Yeah, where you're not taking up a room, you know. But, you know, for some people, maybe one day we'll see other mono amps out there. But right now, no one seems to be diving into that one. So, you know, we'll see.
It's probably not worse, but it doesn't provide a whole lot of benefit.
Yeah. So on that note, maybe one day we'll have some mono amps.
Maybe we'll see more.
And they won't be Class D. They're going to be pure Class A.
1,000-watt Class A mono amps for headphones.
Yep.
Well,
with a tube on top.
A bunch, just all the tubes.
Yeah, all
tube
tubes.
Factory
Even
on
better.
Top.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. We'll challenge somebody to do that one day.
Perfect.
Anyway, thanks for watching our blabber, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Thanks.